Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Today I want to talk about the 1980 PBS TV series Cosmos, an image of which you will see here. Um, as a preface, I can't talk about Cosmos without talking about the co-writer and presenter Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan was a fairly well-known at the time science educator, I guess you could say. He taught physics at college, but he was also even before the show, one of those guys that was regularly seen on television, on talk shows and things like that. He was on, I would see him on like The Late Show with Johnny Carson before he retired and Stephen Colbert took it over. But he was just one of those guys that he was kind of a dorky guy. He wore turtlenecks and suit coats. He had a bowl haircut. He had a distinct way of speaking that many people made fun of. But he was also calm and soft-spoken and patient. And he explained things very well. He was able to take, grand concepts and boil them down into simple, patient, easy ways to understand things, which I guess is important for an educator, but, he helped make science palatable for the average American who generally didn't care about science. And because he was on TV so much, he helped educate America about science. And in spite of the fact that he was kind of a dorky guy, I did somewhat admire him. Yes, I made fun of his way of speaking as much as anybody else did. And, I laughed at the people who made fun of him. But I personally took it in good humor because I did admire his ability to communicate and make science seem interesting to everybody. He also was influential in Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is our current science educator and possibly Carl Sagan's successor. Neil deGrasse Tyson did make sequels to this, which Neil deGrasse Tyson was, the narrator, much as Carl Sagan was for this. But I'm going to talk about this one and not those. I wanted to talk about this because, of course, something came across my YouTube feed, Carl Sagan's little famous pale blue dot speech and the video that follows it. I wound up watching it. It's like, I should talk about this. Cosmos is the brainchild of Carl Sagan and Druyan, who eventually became his wife. They married shortly after this was released, so I'm not sure about their relationship, but I'm guessing they were probably involved during the creation of this show. This is a 13-part series. It is long. It's not something you idly sit through and watch. This is 13 hours of video. Produced by BBC, filmed in 78 and 79, mostly. The special effects at the time were considered groundbreaking. Carl Sagan would walk through sets that were created virtually, which in the late 70s, early 80s was phenomenal. It was unheard of. So this is groundbreaking. But in the opening episode, Carl Sagan has his ship of the imagination. He imagines what it would be like to travel through the cosmos and through the universe in a spaceship that would just go wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted, without having to deal with the normal constraints of physics. A voyage of the imagination. And he imagined like coming to our solar system from another point in space, finally arriving at the planet Earth, the only inhabited planet in the system. And he doesn't just talk about, astrophysics. He goes through the history of the planet of Earth. He talks about Eratosthenes, the Greek philosopher and mathematician. Talks about Aristotle and Michelangelo. He does talk about science and astrophysics because he is at heart an astrophysicist, But, he makes comments on other things. It's not just about that. He talks about evolution, a little bit about society and about culture, and he just brought science into everyone's home. And this was one of the most widely watched things on television the year it came out. This thing won 2 Emmys and a Peabody Award, to give you an idea. This was the most watched PBS series until 1990, when the Civil War series came out. But to this date, this is still the most widely watched PBS series in the entire world. This thing was highly influential to many, many people, and to bringing science into our homes, the homes of the average person. And a lot of that has to do with Carl Sagan himself, in his way of speaking to people, and in his ability to communicate. I remember I watched this live on television when it came out, and not just me. This was a family event. The whole family sat around. The episodes came out once a week, and for 13 weeks, the whole family would gather on the television once Cosmos came on to sit and watch it for an hour together. And not just my family. When I went to school the following day, when after it came out, people were talking about it. Did you watch Cosmos? When it came out, yes. We all, a large chunk of the country watched this series. This was the event of the year. The television event of the year was Cosmos. And for a science documentary, a nerdy astrophysicist documentary, that was unheard of. And I believe its success is owed to Carl Sagan and his ability to communicate, his ability to make things easily understood by the average person. He made the people of this country and of the world aware of science in a way that no one really had prior to that. There have been some famous scientists like Albert Einstein, but Albert Einstein was kind of a closeted, not closeted, but, he wasn't, a good public speaker. I think the last famous scientist who actually was a good public speaker that I know of was Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was a nerdy guy who loved science and loved explaining things to people and loved making a show about it. When he used to go to Europe and was treated like a rock star. When maybe we should talk about Benjamin Franklin at some point. But we're talking about Cosmos. I'm going off script, as if there was a script. But yeah, getting back to Cosmos in my meandering way. There is just so much here. There's 13 hours of it. But this is one of those things that it contains a lot of information that I think it's sort of important for people to know. It's not going to save your life. It's not going to save your soul. I don't think it's going to ever change your life or ever come in useful. But it's one of those things that, like, these are general concepts about the world and about history and about the universe that I just sort of think everyone should have at least a basic grasp of. You shouldn't just think that, I've seen people or heard people from other countries who think that the sun over America is different than the sun over Pakistan or Israel or Africa. They think that they don't realize these are other countries. They think these are other worlds with other suns. They don't have any concept of the world around them and how it functions. And this is just one of the things that I think it has a lot of basic information about the universe that I think people should know. And it's not deep physics. It's not string theory. It's not quantum mechanics. Carl Sagan just takes time to patiently explain the overall nature of the universe. and in very simple terms. It's not, he's not trying to hammer stuff into your head. It's just, this is what we think we know about the universe at the current time. These are the basics, and this is kind of sort of what led up to this discovery. It's very broad, very basic stuff, and there's a reason this thing was watched by millions and millions of people, and why it won 2 Emmys and a Peabody, because it is easily digestible. And I think more people should know about this and about Carl Sagan, because he was so good at his job. And because this was a groundbreaking series. It's been highly influential to a lot of people, and to the way modern science documentaries are done. So that's me spending 10 minutes gushing over Carl Sagan and Cosmos. As always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.